Good morning, children. Welcome back to the social session. Children, in the previous class we have started a new unit, the Indian rivers and water resources. So we tried to understand about the Indian river system. The drainage of India has been divided into two categories. One is the Himalayan river system, the other one is the peninsular river system. So under the Himalayan river system, the rivers like Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra, we have seen their origin also we have seen. And today we will discuss about the peninsular river system. And peninsular rivers, you know it very well: Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Penna, and even Mahanadi, Narmada, Tapati. These all rivers fall under the peninsular river system. The Western Ghats are the water divide between the major peninsular rivers, discharging their water into the Bay of Bengal, and as a small rivulets joining the Arabian Sea. Most of the peninsular rivers except Narmada and Tapati, most of them they join into the Bay of Bengal. They flow from the west to the east. That means they rise in the Western Ghats and they cut the Eastern Ghats and they join into the Bay of Bengal. If you look at the Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Ken, Son originating in the northern part of the peninsular plateau, they belong to the Ganga river system and they are the tributaries to the river Ganga. Betwa, Son, Ghandak and Ken, Chambal, these all are the tributaries to the river Ganga, and they come, even though they take birth in the northern part of the peninsular plateau, but they join the Ganga river system. The other major rivers flowing in the peninsular drainage are Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri are considered as the peninsular rivers. And these are characterized by the fixed course. They have the absence of the meanders. Already in class 9th we have seen the meanders. So there is the absence of meanders to these river system, and they are largely non-perennial flow of water. What is perennial and what is non-perennial, children? Perennial means that which flow throughout the year, whereas the Himalayan river systems are characterized as a perennial river system. But whereas this peninsular plateau or peninsular river system is characterized as a non-perennial. That means that which doesn't flow throughout the year. Whereas the source of the Himalayan rivers are in the glacier, the ice melts and they keep on discharging the water. Godavari is the largest peninsular river system. The source of this Godavari is at the Trayambak near Nasik in Maharashtra. So as you have seen the origin of Indus, the origin of Godavari, the origin of Ganga, the origin of Brahmaputra, the origin of Godavari is at Nasik, Trayambak. Godavari takes its birth at Nasik in Maharashtra. So recently Godavari Pushkarian time also there were many events occurred at Nasik, Trayambak. So and discharges water into the Bay of Bengal, and many rivers, many tributaries also join the Godavari in its course. And if you look at the other rivers like the Krishna takes its birth at Mahabalipuram, okay, in the Western Ghats of Maharashtra, and it flows across the river Karnataka, state Karnataka and Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and joins into the Bay of Bengal. And coming to the water flow, children, if you look at the water flow, water usage of these rivers, water flowing away or the water flowing out via surface flows and groundwater, if you look at the usage of these waters, there are different uses of the water. Under the heading of water used for agriculture, water used for domestic purpose, water used for industrial purpose. So there are many such case studies where we study about the usage of the water. And you can imagine a region such as a village, some amount of water would flow out of the village as a surface through streams. Water doesn't get stagnated at a single place. It keeps on moving, isn't it? So when it is moving from the surface from one place to another place, it is a water flowing out. During the monsoon months, what happened? This surface flow would increase substantially and it keeps on discharging out of the village. And a portion of the rainfall also gets percolated into the soil. The soil absorbs a little water and travels underground also. It travels underground and recharges the aquifers which are present underground. Some of it flows into and becomes available through the usage of the wells and bore wells, and a portion of it also goes into deep aquifers that do not become available also because they are very deep. We cannot bring out such underground water, and some of the underground water becomes part of the flows that eventually appears in streams and rivers. So this kind of water will flow out of the village which is received through the rainfall. When you look at the water for agriculture, the usage of the water for agriculture, water reaches the root zone of the crops either through the rainfall or the process of irrigation through which we supply the water through the bore well or through the open well. There is a capacity of the soil to store the moisture. If there is excess water such as flood and this isn't able to percolate below, if the soil unable to percolate below, then the surface water would damage the roots of the crop and it would completely damage the crop. On the other hand, in a drought situation, if there is no enough moisture in the soil, the root doesn't get enough moisture, then the crops will wither or the crops will get wilt, dry away if there is no moisture in the condition of a drought. If you look at the water for a domestic use and water for the industrial use, children, we shall understand about this one in the next class, children. Until then, take care. Thank you.